Hi, Anthony's vlog, and as I'd mentioned before, I actually went to the home where the spirit, the soul that now calls himself Harold, it's not his real name, but that's what he calls himself, once lived, and did some research and talked to some local historians and tried to find out more history and how this possibly could have happened, that not only he but these two souls here ended up in this doll. And what was interesting was how frustrating it was, because the 2 or 3 historians that I talked to were actually rather limited in their knowledge about the family that lived there. Quite knowledgeable about the father, quite knowledgeable about the mother, not real knowledgeable about these 2 girls. And what's also interesting is that there's actually another girl, another daughter, who was part of the family, who was again niece to this man here. So these 2 were nieces in addition to another young lady to this man here. And these 2, along with the other young lady, are in fact trapped or imprisoned, apparently, within the doll. Can I prove it? Well, I have evidence to show that, and I'm working on doing the best I can to just show you the evidence, but it's been tough going. So, what I wanted to do here, I've got these, again, Maglite flashlights, and I'm just going to spin this one around for you very quickly, just to show you it's not rigged in any way. I'm going to place it down here, and this one as well. Now, the way I've done this is I've actually twisted the top, which is what turns on the flashlight, to where it just barely turns on. And I'm going to wait just a minute while these things turn off. And we're going to ask questions and hopefully see if we can get some answers. Oh, now that one just came on. Okay. That one just turned itself off. Now, you're probably aware, and if you're not, I will go ahead and make you aware, that there's somebody who, quote-unquote, proved the way this whole thing works with these Maglite flashlights. And it doesn't really answer a whole heck of a lot of questions. For instance, the last one of these I did, this one here actually never turned on until after I turned off the camera. Then it came on. And as you can see, this one here, if you watched the other video, was on a lot. So I'm going to ask you to turn off your lights so I can ask you a question. And actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to see about turning this on. Hopefully I can do this one. There we go. One-handed. Let's see if I can do this. And I'm going to ask the sister, whose picture or sketch I don't have, to use this to communicate. Let's see. Normally I do this with 2 hands, or one hand holding the body and then the other hand turning the top part. As you can see. So anyway, if you turn your lights off, I have a few questions for you. You too, please. Turn your light off. You know, what was interesting was I used to be the biggest skeptic. In fact, the first time I ever saw this done, I laughed and thought that the people on the Ghost Hunter show were really stretching credulity there. And the intelligence of those people who were watching. Well, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and turn this one off. Okay. Is there anybody here who's willing to talk to me? You are? Seriously? Is there anybody else who's willing to talk to me here? Okay, I'll tell you what. I was going to say, turn your light off, and I'll ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a very direct question. And I'd like you to answer yes by turning your light on, or no by leaving it off. Not that I'll necessarily believe you. And once again, you're answering my thoughts instead of my questions verbally. So please turn the light off. Marjorie, please turn your light off so I can ask a question. I'd like to ask it out loud before you answer. Marjorie, please turn your light off. You can turn your light off too. Thank you, Marjorie. Now I'd like you to turn your light off. Now. Turn it off. Thank you. Here's the question for you, Harold. I know these are two of your three nieces. I know there's a third niece who is also imprisoned within the doll along with you. Okay, thank you for confirming that. Please turn your light off. That's not my question. Turn your light off. Or are you leaving it on so that I can't ask it? Are you answering my question already? Again, you too. All right. Let's just get the rules here, okay? Do not answer the question until I ask it out loud. All right? Although I think you two are answering already because you realize that your uncle is playing a game here. So if you would, at least the two of you, turn your light off, and I'll ask the question of him. And then, thank you. If he doesn't want to respond, then you two can. Marjorie, please turn your light off. Please turn it off. Please, thank you. Okay. Here's the question for you, Harold. Are you the one responsible for your three nieces being imprisoned within the doll along with yourself? Marjorie, Elsie, if you'd like to answer the question, please feel free to do so. Turning your light on for yes, leaving it off for no. Thank you, Marjorie. Would you turn your light off? Because I have another question for you. Thank you, Elsie. Would you turn your light off? So apparently the two of you are saying yes, while your uncle's not saying a word. What I was wondering, oh, here he goes. So you are accepting responsibility for it? Or were you simply responding to the question I was thinking in my mind? I know, and I didn't believe this when I first started investigating this doll, and I didn't believe this when I discovered the three of you, courtesy of my friend Larry, who, if you haven't read my book, is a man who lives in Baltimore, Maryland, who saw these three in a vision and saw apparently the arm of the demon who actually controls what's going on here. Is the demon not allowing you, or is the demon angry that you're communicating with me? If the answer is yes, any one of you three, thank you, turn your light on. So the demon is angry with me. Is the demon angry with you for communicating with me? Marjorie, if you could turn your light off and then answer that question for me. Oop, I'm sorry. Elsie, I was saying turn your light off. Marjorie, thank you for turning your light on. Thank you, Elsie, for turning your light off. So, Elsie, is the demon angry with you for communicating with me? Elsie, if the answer is yes, please turn your light on if you're able to. Okay, while I was at your house, I was able to find out, well, actually I already knew that you had another sister. I was able to determine, it was suggested to me by Camille, that perhaps your sister was the third soul, or the fourth soul altogether, but the third soul imprisoned against your will by this man. So, I wanted to ask if that's the case, and I'd like one of you two to answer for me. Thank you. Thank you, Marjorie. So, your sister is imprisoned within the doll with you. Is that correct? Elsie, can you answer that question for me? Is that correct? If the answer is yes, would you please turn your light on? Okay. All of a sudden, I just ran out of questions. I just went blank. I just had several questions going through my head. Marjorie's light turned off, and so all the questions went away. This is absolutely weird. I honestly can't think of any questions. And just a moment ago, I had several questions, 5 or 6 questions I wanted to ask going through my head. Oh, I just remembered one. Please turn your lights off so I can ask you a question real quick. Please turn your lights off. Thank you, Harold. Thank you, Elsie. Thank you, Marjorie. According to Vincent, and those of you who don't know who Vincent is, all I can say is you have to read my book to find out. because I'm not going to go into it right now. According to Vincent, Harold, you've actually been replaced by the demon. And in your place is his new, quote, bestie, end quote, according to Vincent, who has been doing a lot of the crazy things, not only to me, but to other people literally around the world. I just heard from Larry in Baltimore. I heard from my friend Sean in London, England. So, Marjorie, are you saying that's in fact what's going on? That there is somebody else who is now pretending they're somebody they're not and doing things like mimicking me in phone conversations? If you turn your light off, I'll ask it again, then you can answer it by turning your light on. Please turn your light off. Elsie, I'm assuming that you're confirming that. Is that correct? That there is somebody else now, an entirely different entity, sent by the demon, who, according to Vincent, is hiding, but is now using this bestie, as he called it, a new best friend, to do his dirty work, to harm and manipulate people. Is that correct? Will somebody please turn their light on if that's correct? Wow. I didn't expect you to turn your light on. I really didn't. Please turn your light off, Harold. Thank you, Elsie. Thank you, Marjorie. Again, you guys are responding to my questions that I'm asking in my head. And you can hear them apparently, but nobody else can. So if you'll turn your light off, Marjorie, I'll ask the question out loud. Marjorie, please turn your light off, so I'll ask the question out loud so that the people watching this video can hear the question and decide for themselves whether this is what's going on, what is apparently going on is real. Marjorie, please turn your light off. Thank you. You know, what's interesting, Harold, is I literally am starting to actually feel sympathy for you. As though you realize that what you've done has caused you to get in over your head. But then I just remembered what Larry told me about a dream he had where you appeared to him carrying this bag. And when he asked what was going on, you told him hell on earth is what's going on. Should I try to release Harold, you two? Yes, Elsie? Yes, Harold, I should try to release you? Marjorie? Should I try to release your uncle? Or not release him myself, but try to obtain his release? Marjorie? If the answer is yes, turn your light on. If the answer is no, just leave it off. Okay. All right, thank you. Please turn your light off. You know, what from little I've learned about you when I went to visit your home, Marjorie, according to the historians and what little they did know about you, you were probably you were probably the angriest out of all of your sisters here, and I get that. Probably angriest at your uncle, and I understand that. And I understand you probably have the most to say. So, one last question for tonight, okay? Lately, I've been getting a lot of people talking about Harold coming to them in their dreams. Interesting. The question I was asking in my head is it really Harold, or is it the demon's new best friend pretending to be Harold? As soon as I asked that question in my head, his light lit up and her light lit up. Marjorie, is that true? Last question for the night. Is it true? Okay, thank you. You know what, Harold? And again, I do know your real name, but I'm going to call you Harold simply because I don't want to honor you with your real name at this point. I do believe that what you did was wrong on many, many levels, especially spiritually. And I don't know if this is what you wanted to do. Every time you revealed yourself, you tipped your hand so that now, and apparently Elsie's agreeing with what I'm thinking, so now I know not just about you, but about your three nieces as well. And I was just wondering in my mind if that was intentional on your part in order to make things right. And I still don't know what to think, my friend. I really don't. And I say that, my friend, loosely. So, anyway, I'm going to end this for right now. And I'm going to post this for people to see and decide. I showed the flashlights initially. To show they weren't rigged. I'm not saying anything just in case they're trying to communicate, and hopefully it can be picked up through closed captioning. So, anyway, thank you, Elsie. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you, Harold, for communicating with me at the risk of incurring the wrath of the demon. Is there anything else you'd like to say in the final seconds? Marjorie, if you'll turn your light off, please. We'll say good night. Thank you.